How can it be a coincidence that Tinubu increased the price of petrol, increased electricity tariff, devalued the naira by more than 200%, and now he's about to ban the importation of solar panels on the premise that they want to improve the economy? They want to force Nigerians to buy locally made solar panels. Meanwhile, they never buy Nigerian-made goods. All the luxury vehicles they buy are 100% made abroad. They never patronize all the local manufacturers of cars, whether they are assembling or 100% manufacturing it locally. They never patronize them. When it comes to the masses, they tell you buy Nigerian-made goods. So it's not a coincidence that he's doing all these at the same time, because all these policies are injurious to the Nigerian economy. It doesn't make any sense to cut off all the lifelines that businesses depend on. Electric power supply in Nigeria is inefficient, is unreliable, infrastructure is dilapidated, so you can imagine how businesses cope. In order to survive in manufacturing in Nigeria, you must generate your own power. How do you do that? On a small scale, you rely on petrol and diesel. You rely on these oils to power your generator, at least for the entire day of operations. Now that the price of petrol and diesel has been increased, how else are manufacturers going to cope? The only other alternative left for SMEs and other businesses is to go solar. Since petrol, diesel, and electricity have become expensive, if you run on all these, despite the fact that they are not reliable, they are very much expensive to run on, you might never be profitable in whatever business you're doing. So it's very clear the government is making it very, very difficult for anyone to manufacture in Nigeria. Yes, all these policies are detrimental to the growth of Nigeria's economy. All the energy sources that manufacturers must rely on in order to be profitable, the government has made it very, very expensive. They only have two options. Either you close shop, like many have done. Many multinationals have left Nigeria's economy. Many already in Nigeria that have nowhere to go, they have closed shop or either operating at less capacity. Despite not making any profit, despite living on the edge, they can't break even. Now, the only other alternative that is somehow less expensive, despite the fact that it is capital intensive, they are now targeting the solar energy. How in the world can all this be a coincidence? No, it is not. People must see the big picture. The big picture is this man is obviously not working for Nigeria. He must be working for foreign interests. There's no other way to put it. In many developed countries, they subsidize solar energy. They subsidize all green energy, including electric cars. Electric cars are more expensive to manufacture. They subsidize all these in order to make it easy for their people to go green. We are not supposed to go green in Africa because we don't contribute up to 1% of global warming, of greenhouse gas emissions. Yes, we have abundant sun in Africa, but going solar is actually very capital intensive. If the people don't receive any form of subsidy, encouragement to go solar, they shouldn't bother with it. That's if there is reliable electric power supply. In our case in Nigeria, it is virtually non-existent. Power can be cut anytime, restored anytime without notice. In fact, if you're a business and hope to rely on public power supply, then your business will fail. That's why many businesses, no matter how small, must have at least a small power generating set. This power generating set, of course, relies on petrol or diesel to run. The government have successfully made these oils very expensive, so running on them will obviously make your service or product more expensive. That's a fact. Now, the few businesses that are able to raise capital to go solar, ordinarily this is money they should have invested in stocking up raw materials or whatever they use to run their business, but they have to invest it in going solar first, because without power they are going nowhere. Now, this solar energy is about to become even more expensive. Yes, if they successfully ban the import of solar panels, that means you have all sorts of smuggling, all sorts of dealings, and definitely it will drive the price up. Just like what Buhari did during his time, he closed the borders in the southern part of the country on the premise that he wants to improve rice farming, that he wants to help local farmers so as to become competitive with other countries, that Nigeria must feed itself. But at the end of the day, it ended up increasing the price of rice by more than 3 times. So if they ban the import of solar panels, maybe one person or a few people will start smuggling solar panels into Nigeria, and it will eventually become very, very expensive, which will mean that many new businesses or even existing businesses can no longer afford to go solar. So in summary, if you're a business, you cannot depend on public power supply. Even if it's available in your location for a few hours, you cannot afford it. Even if you afford it, you might end up not becoming profitable. Now, the next alternative, running on generators, you cannot afford petrol or diesel. It has become very, very expensive. Even if you do, you might still not be profitable. Now, the third one, solar energy, it will soon become very expensive for anyone trying to set up a business. So all the available energy sources that a business needs to survive, they have all made it very expensive. What does that tell you? It tells you that their policy is actually meant to impoverish Nigerians more. Other countries are talking about lifting their people out of poverty. How do you lift people out of poverty? It is by giving them employment, making sure they earn a living. When you attack factories, manufacturers, people that should provide jobs for the people, when you make sure manufacturers cannot be profitable, that they will either close shop or go under, that means there will be no employment. Rather, they will be sacking people in droves, which means more people in poverty. So this never works. There is nowhere in the world they ever developed this way. You do not start out by impoverishing people and spreading false narratives that it will work out, that people should have patience. No, this is deception. They are all out to impoverish Nigerians, whether they are working for anyone or working for foreigners. They are our immediate leaders that we can see. So we must hold them accountable. We must hold them responsible. How can someone's policy be detrimental to the growth of Nigeria's economy, even a threat to national security, and people are not seeing the big picture? They think, these will pass away. This man, highest, will stay 8 years in power. Another one will take over. No, these people are implanting themselves. They are installing themselves in critical sectors of the economy. They are holding a country captive. And if Nigerians don't do anything about it, we might not get out of the woods even in 50 years. Yes, it's that serious. They're also busy making it legally impossible for you to remove them from where they've put themselves. Yes, many people are not seeing this. Look at what is happening in Rivers State. PDP governors said they will challenge it at the Supreme Court, but you will hear what the Supreme Court will say when they come. They wouldn't even focus on the substantive matter. They will just base their decisions on technicalities as usual. They will start asking them, prove to us why you are hurt by what happened in Rivers State. Are you from Rivers? Are you the governor? Are you this or that? This is what you will hear when they go to court. So effectively, they will legalize what they did in Rivers, despite the fact that it doesn't exist in the constitution. There is no room for sole administrator. Nothing, everything they did, including what the National Assembly did, instead of achieving two-thirds to decide the state of emergency in Rivers State, they conducted it based on voice vote. In conclusion, having access to electric power supply is a basic human right. In Nigeria of yesteryears, the days of NEPA, Nigerian government owned NEPA 100%. This was before privatization. Now that it has been privatized, and you have many discos around the country, they are still not doing better than the old NEPA. Why would the government now prevent or make policies that will inhibit people from gaining access to electric power supply? Some might argue that the government is not actually preventing people from having access to electric power supply, that they are trying to run it as a business. That's why they increase the tariff. So if anyone wants access, despite the fact that it's not even available, the person just needs to afford it and buy electricity and use. Now, that's by the side. What about petrol, the next alternative after public power supply? Why have the government made it very expensive for people to afford? Also, the same argument might apply that they are trying to run NNPC and other subsidiaries as a business. If you can't afford it, find alternatives. The next alternative, solar power, now they are about to make it expensive. This argument wouldn't hold here because they are not running any business. Importation of solar panels and other related equipment are done by merchants who are not working for the government. They are private individuals or companies. They are just running business, trying to earn a living. So why should the government block that access to electricity? It doesn't make any sense, only to serve the people they are serving. Meanwhile, we have some companies manufacturing solar panels in Nigeria. Yes, they exist, but their efficiency is still not there. Despite the fact that their products are actually more affordable, they are cheaper than imported ones. But Nigerians buy the imported ones because they are much more efficient. So they need to up their technology to at least be competitive with imported products. And besides, it's supposed to be a free market. After all, Nigeria has petrol and other oils in abundance, but they keep importing petrol. This is government supported. Government backs all the people importing petrol. They have never seen any reason to ban importation of petrol. Actually, Nigeria needs that right now because we already have a massive refinery that is serving other countries. Dangote refinery has the capacity to meet local demands many times over, including serving other countries in Western Europe, in the US. So if they truly want to boost local manufacturing of solar panels in Nigeria, why haven't they done it in other sectors of Nigeria's economy, most especially oil industry? We now have a massive petrol refinery, like already said. Why are people still importing petrol? Even the state-owned NNPC still imports millions or billions of barrels of petrol every day. So it's not ordinary, it's not a coincidence. Their policy is meant to impoverish Nigerians at the benefit of foreigners. Yes, they don't want this country to develop. They don't want this massive population filled with massive human resources and natural resources. They don't want all these to be harnessed to become one massive economy that can challenge other world powers. They don't want to say that. And it's a pity we have people that are supposed to serve our interest. Instead, they are serving foreigners' interest. Thanks for watching.